Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm your host, Angela Wilkinson. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Rhonda Lee is the creator of Spirit Mist Smokeless Smudge. She's a Reiki master, a keynote speaker on stress management, laughter yoga leader, and a newly international best-selling author. She empowers others to take charge of their personal and surrounding energies through various modalities. As a lifelong student of the metaphysical, it's led to a rather varied life experience for Rhonda. Fortunately, her sense of humor is one of her stronger attributes and has served her well. As an empath and clairsentient from birth, Rhonda chooses the path of love to guide her business and life. Now let's welcome Rhonda to the show. Hi, I'm Angela Wilkinson, and welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show, where we co-create powerful, conscious conversations on the leading edge. I have a very special dear friend of mine returning back on the show, and this is Rhonda. And Rhonda, every time I see you or talk to you, this is exactly how you make me feel.
I have done my job.
So for today, I brought my happy mug just to go with the conversation. So I'm really excited to see where we go because, you know, your background, your life has been like so diverse and you've experienced like so much stuff and you're a wealth of information. And every time I talk to you, like I said, it brings joy to my life. I always laugh and it's just so much fun. So I am so excited to have you back.
Thank you. I am so happy to be back. Time with you is always the best. I love it. And I love that I can trust you to just like lead the way in a conversation. And I appreciate your abilities to do that. You're fantastic. And, you know, it's always fun to be interviewed by a stunning, gorgeous goddess as well. So thank you.
That's
while
real.
we're recording, doesn't Angela just popping with her hair? She looks great today. Okay, sorry.
Y'all can see now why I love Rhonda because she's always so complimentary. Making me blush.
Tell the truth.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the tables back onto you, girlfriend. So you are a newly international best-selling author. So congratulations on that.
Thank
That
you.
is super exciting. So let's start with that because what inspired you and tell me about that journey. And why don't you also tell what the book name is and what it's about.
Oh, I don't have a copy of it with me, but it is 365 life shifts, and it's like pivotal moments that change everything. And actually, what started is 3 years ago. I was warming up with a friend before exercise, and I just blurted out, you know, I'm going to be a part of a best-selling book. And we both stopped, and I'm like, okay, I don't know where that came from, but let's carry on. And then, you know, left it on the table. Never thought about it. I mean, there's things I've written, I've been published, but nobody wants to read the stuff I've published, honestly. It's research and curriculums. So this was very different, and the opportunity came up, I believe, July the 4th, and that came across my table, and I knew I was all in. I had no idea what I wanted to write. I just knew that it was time that I was going to put this story, whatever story it was, out there. I've got life has given me a wealth of experiences, and we all go through hardships. So I'm not saying that I've been through any harder times than anybody else, but I'm open and I don't mind sharing things. So I didn't even know I was going to share what I did in the book, and I'm happy to share that with your listeners and viewers on this. But I ended up sharing about my grandmother's suicide. And there's a whole backstory about all that I would love to cover one day in a separate book. And it just like opened, I'm going to tell you, the energy of that, by putting that out public, like I said, I've always talked about it, opened the floodgates. It was an energy shift unlike anything I've ever experienced. And so much stuff, I have chills talking about it. So much stuff has come forward because I did that one little short story that is a part of a collaborative group of these amazing people that came in to share their life shifts. By sharing that, it has just, I can't keep up with everything right now. I mean, I really can't. But it opened an energetic door that was not even possible before. It was an impossibility. Because people are involved in that, I can't talk about that yet, but I will say it has just opened tremendous doors for people around me. You know, it's like it just by, you know, that happening, what happens to me, you know, affects the people around me. And it's same, you know, we all affect each other. So it has been tremendous impacts. And I have seen miracles as a result of that in so many directions. So many directions. So it's been crazy. So that's how it happened. And I'm going to be published again in November because I'm doing another book with this group. And I don't want to ramble too much. Guide me, you know, it's been a tremendous impact, and I'm floored. Mm-hmm. It more than opened doors for me, like business wise. It led into some tremendous life shifts. Something about all of a sudden taking ownership of that energy, in a different level, right. Stepping up to the big plate. You know, really. And I do stuff every year. I do stuff for like, during September for suicide awareness and all of that. That's the month or whatever. I do stuff year round, but I'm especially try to do information for families. You know, my heart is for the families that have survived, you know, the grief process of all of this. And I've been through it several times with family members. I'm very open about that. So I know what it's like to be there. I'll tell you a little brief synopsis about the story.
Okay.
I don't have any guilt. Like I said, I think when we're done, whenever we've accomplished what we're going to do, whatever we have signed up, you know, and Abraham Hicks is a good source of it. You know, they actually, Abraham has said, "Oh, death is a suicide. When you're done, you move on." I don't see, and this is going to be real controversial that I'm saying this on your show now, but personally, I don't see. I'm not encouraging suicide by any shade of the imagination. I am releasing families from guilt. Mm-hmm. You know, we do not know what somebody signed up to do in this life. You know, we do not know sometimes what is truly a suicide and what is not. I think there's actually more of them than we are actually aware of. We don't know. Right. I want to release families of guilt from that. I don't have any guilt. I did from the ages of 9 to 11, and then I had a visitation, and that is what I wrote about in the book. And a visitation in the form of a dream that changed my life completely. Mm-hmm. But until then, I wrote about nightmares every night. I would go through them every single night without fail until my grandmother came to me in my dream at the age of 11. And she told me she was okay. I felt her love going physically into me. I felt her love going physically into my family, you know, because it was a very traumatic event. For all of it is, for everybody, any family that goes through this. And we can choose to try to overcome that tragedy. And is it easy? No. I think I got an easy ride out because of my visitation. Mm-hmm. And my willingness to be aware. I think I got an easy ride out on that. And so I'm very lucky, but I want, you know, my purpose behind sharing that is that, you know, people can be okay. You can come up from this. Your loved ones do not leave you. They may not be, you know, we don't understand still 3D. There's so much more than what we're grasping. And we have these moments when we have true communication. And that was what I wanted to share. And I don't know why, you know, there's no guilt, you know, there for me at all. So I don't know what the shift honestly was in this, except, my inbox is, for some reason, this story tremendously touched people.
Mm-hmm.
And the excitement that was generated around it, I was blown away, because when that happened, when I was little, people were horrendous to my family. And I felt so bad because, they would come up and say horrible things to, this was my father's mother. So to my
Mm-hmm.
father and his side of the family, and they're like, oh, well, she's in hell now,
Mm.
and just callous. And how do you know anything? So, I've been on this journey from an early age, and I've also had a different perspective on this as well, because of I'm an empath, and I'm also clairsentient from birth. And so I didn't figure it out till I was an adult that, some of the things that I was feeling, I was picking up from her that I didn't
Sure.
understand. As a child, I couldn't put it. It was always accepted when I would talk about my feelings and talk about that. I come from a very aware family. Came in talking about past lives, and it was accepted because I had memories. I thought everyone did this, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody's like, "How would you find out you were different?" And I'm like, "I'm not different." I thought everybody did this. So, um, you know, to see my family go through these horrendous comments that people would make, that's why I have a special affinity for people that have been through that and made that journey. Um, and I've done this 3 times now,
Mm-hmm.
with closer relatives, that I, I just, it bothers me that people can be so callous. It bothers me that people could, and as an empath, you feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Of
Yeah.
course, I have a different take on empathy than other people do as well, because a lot of people like to shut that out, but I'll get into that at another point. Hey, we are chameleons, and people are not
Right.
embracing that. You need to embrace it and use it to your advantage. But so yeah, being that I had these burdens that were unexplained to me, and then I figured it out. So, it almost like it opened another door for me to express this story that I one day want to share in much more depth and detail, because I am not the only person in the world that's an empath. I'm not the only
Right.
person in the world that was born clairsentient. I'm not. There's a lot of us, and so I think maybe some of it is it opened that door, and more acceptance. And people are generally more kind these days about those sort of things. There's been a lot more awareness about suicide in present years, and I'm tired of seeing families have that whip cracked at them and then being beaten down, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and burdened with an afterlife of sorts that they
Mm.
think their family is going through. So I know I
Yeah.
probably get all kinds of nerves with this, but that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I know exactly where my grandmother is, and
Yeah.
and I'm very satisfied with my connection with her. It grew stronger. It
Well,
grew stronger.
and one of the things, you're talking that you had this connection from birth, right? That you were able to feel and sense things. And so I wonder if your perspective, since you can see beyond the veil, you can trust more in that, you know, that they're still with us, the people that are past.
Absolutely. Whew. Yeah, sorry, getting chills. Yeah, I can trust. I did see, I saw from a very early age, and that stuff I didn't talk about because I didn't know how to express it. But I would see things, and I would see them, whoever
Mm-hmm.
they were, moving around in my room at night. It was brutal. Growing up, it was hard. Even from a family where I could talk about things openly, there are still things that you just don't understand how to express. And I didn't
Was it
understand how to express that sort of thing.
was it kind of like the movie Sixth Sense? in a way, or?
Uh, Kinda. And another really good one to pull in is Ghost, the one that
Oh.
Patrick Swayze did. Not that I
Mm-hmm.
saw people like that, but at the end where you saw like the convergence of spirits all lined up there, I saw that a lot. Saw it in my dreams with my grandmother. Saw it in my room and all that. I saw a lot. That I was like, God, somebody else has seen that's real. I know about that. I've seen that. So yeah, a lot of times it wasn't very graphic in descriptions of personal details, but I would see movement. I would see things. They'd touch me. They would wake me up, and it terrified me. I thought,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I was having night terrors, or whatever. I couldn't play. It would terrify me. So I didn't sleep a lot of my childhood, even with the family that I could express things. And my mom would, she would come to me any time of the night, and she was wonderful to be there. But there was not nightmares. There were things moving on. I saw them, felt them,
Right.
everything.
Right. Um, yeah, so I just want to mention your last episode that when I interviewed the last time was episode 106. So I highly recommend those of you who are listening and watching to also listen to that episode because we talk some about this as well. So I think it's like a beautiful complementary conversation to this one. So yeah, so yeah, I can only imagine as a child how frightening that was. And and it's no wonder most people shut their abilities down.
Hmm. Oh yeah, oh
They're
yeah.
like, I don't want to see that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, if you don't understand, you don't understand.
Hmm.
It's hard to even put it into words when you're very little. Because I'm talking about my earliest memories of when I was really really little. You know, I would come into the house and tell my mom things, and they were okay. I'm like, I saw angels in the trees. Like talk about, and nobody discounted me. I know that children see so much more
Hmm.
than we do as an adult, and we start to learn. But my shutting down was not because anybody ever, of not wanting to see and all of that, was not because, society told me anything. I didn't know that everybody didn't do this sort of thing. So I
Mm.
did, that's my normal. So I can't. I can't identify with it not being there, but it's
Right.
just I just didn't want to see. Teen years. I mean, I didn't want to. I would try not to, because it was scary to me, and I just didn't have the words to explain it until as I got older and I started realizing, and I could, as an adult, look back through that lens. But like
Hmm.
I did not like the dark. I did not like to sleep in a dark room, my childhood, because stuff would be moving.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm curious now that you have hindsight, you can look back. What would you, how would you, if you knew then what you knew now, like, how do you think that would have changed your experience?
um, there's still times I just want to be left alone.
You're like,
I,
shop is closed.
and so my family can equate to this because I had a cousin to pass 2 years ago, and I was like, and I could feel him like nudging me in the middle of the night, and I was so full of grief, and I just needed to sleep, and like in the middle of the night, I'm like, stop touching me, please. I'm going to the house here, so I'm like, oh, it's okay, but I think maybe I would not have been as afraid. I mean,
Hmm.
I do realize that I had family members that did stuff way before me, that great grandmothers and things like that. But maybe it wouldn't have been as terrifying to me. But, still, I mean, maybe I could have understood how to put the boundary
Mm.
because now I'm like, stop. But then I didn't understand that putting up the boundary at all. It's just like me just being like, oh, it's nighttime again. Damn it. Here we go. It's gonna start. Stuff is gonna start happening. So I would, I'd ever heard my mother on the phone talking about how great I was at night to go right to sleep. And I was like, because I was trying to beat the clock before the lights went off in the house. I would just, oh, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to sleep. I would just try so hard. So maybe I would have learned, or, knowing then that I could have blocked it and said, okay, that's enough. This is too much. Stop. Stop. So that's probably all.
So how do you stop it without blocking it? Because there is a difference between like those energetic boundaries
hmm
versus like shutting it down so you can't like see or hear or feel or
Well, I've never been able to completely shut it down. Would have been really, really happy at one point to do that, but
well, but I mean
it.
like a lot of people use like food or distraction or whatever, whatever their
uh,
poison is.
Whatever their poison is. Okay. Well, I was to say probably um, because in my early 20s, probably my distraction would be to like go out and go dancing and stuff like that. Because being that I was clairsentient and empath and stuff, it was easy for me to pick up other people's stuff so I didn't have to feel it. You know what I'm saying? So there were a good 2 to 3 years there that it was like every weekend, let's go out, let's like have a drink and let's dance and let's do it. Those the early years of my marriage. I mean, every weekend I'm like, what, you got to work? No, you can't work. We got to go out. You know,
Yeah.
let's go do it. And I am an introvert, which people I think have a lot of hard time believing, but I can absolutely, Josh Groban is an introvert. He gets on stages and he sings. Okay, we can do it. But then there's times, and so like I would have to like we had like a group picnic for our neighborhood, and I would just I would have to have like a drink or two. I
Mm.
don't drink at all now, at all, and I you know no on the weekends though I'm like let's just party and drink and dance and laugh and just crowd out all that other stuff, because like when I get in the crowds of people I can pick up all these other things, and it's not me having to deal with the tapping or all
Mhm.
that other stuff. So it would help distract all of that.
Right. You already have just people like bumping you with their elbows and arms when you're dancing, so it's like
Yeah, and see that one, the music and doing all that it was a good distraction. But on the flip side, like I don't ever go to like those psychic fairs or anything like that. Can't handle them. Can't handle
oh,
them because the energies of people are coming in and they're hurting, and they're looking, so many people are looking for answers for a hurt or something like that. Then that's just too much. I've done that one time, said I would never do it again. So it's
well,
just the excitement is a little different when you're dancing with a bunch of people.
I'd love for you to clarify for at least for your experience, like so people that are listening and watching that they can maybe tune in and say, "Oh, maybe that's what's happening to me." What are those signs and feelings and experiences that you have where you're feeling like, oh, I can't go to the psychic fairs because I'm feeling this? Or, like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Oh yes, this is a good one. Well, see, my family has worked so well with me on this. They've been great because once I didn't know what clairsentient was until I was an adult. I didn't get it. So once I got to that point and I got an understanding, I started asking them questions. Like I would like my mom is wonderful. For she's just been my stabilizer and all this. I'm like, are you anxious? Are you feeling anxiety at all, Mom? And she's like, no, I'm not. I said, is that you or is that me? I'm fine. Okay, so I know that it's me. Or she'll say, yeah, I feel this. Okay, so I started using identifiers because my family would help me with that. And with my husband and son, like I physically feel words they're going to say before they say them. I don't hear them or whatever. I physically feel the word.
mm-hmm.
Um, or we'll say it at the same time. And so I have the dialogue. Now, were you thinking that first? When did so I went through years of processing of stuff like that because I wanted to know. So like
Yeah.
whenever I go to like a psychic fair or something like that, I've gotten very, very good at clearing myself, and I can and I do because, but I just that's the only place I really dislike going. And I'll go into some other places. I mean, I can do funerals and all that galore. I mean, I'm the person to call if you need somebody at a funeral with you. I can do it. I'm the person to call for a crisis. I can handle it. But for like the psychic fairs, I think the sheer volume of people that are coming in and they're looking for answers. I mean, I physically feel their grief. And you know, and here's an example. What in the early years of trying to figure this out, I remember I walked into a Subway, and all of a sudden I was grieving the loss of my boyfriend. I thought I was gonna die, and I'm like,
Oh,
I don't have a boyfriend. I'm married. That's ridiculous. And I'm like,
yeah.
oh, and I look over to my right, and there's this girl and her boyfriend, and they were breaking up. It was happening, and right there. And I was like, okay, so that's not me. You know, so I start looking for identifiers whenever I feel things. I look. But it seems that like a psychic fair draws such an enormous number of people that are searching, that are hurting. And I'm talking about the big ones that I've been to, where there's several hundred people there. That it just draws that out. And so I'm like not real excited to jump back into that. I can clear and I can go, like when I go give my talks, I like to contact with people physically. I like to hug people. I love the connection. And so whenever I give a speech, like by the time I'm done, I go to the back of the door where everybody's exiting so that I can shake hands and hug people and all that. I love people. But my trick is, I am grounding. People think I'm taking off my shoes and standing on the grass or whatever because my feet are tired. But I'm just kind of letting it run through me. I do that in funeral situations and stuff like that. Kick off the heels and stand there and ground. And then, I take my spirit mist. I do all kinds of little tricks. And I've gotten where I can handle all of that stuff now. It's just, when you're talking about several hundred people searching, and I see a lot of times people being taken advantage of. So it's just such an inundation. A cacophony of noise of all kinds of stuff that I'm like, okay, I love people so much that I hate for them to hurt. I hate for them to be taken advantage of. I hate for them to be capitalized on in any way, shape, or form, because sometimes in these situations, people use strong emotion to drive people, to drive sales, and that's also not how I work as an entrepreneur either. I don't like fear-based marketing. You will lose me. I don't do that. I want people to feel great and uplifted, and that's all I have to say about that. That's not me. It's not me, and it will never be me. And
so then I'll sneak in a plug for you because you did mention your spirit mist. This is a great way to smudge yourself without waving around your smudge stick. I'm glad you're enjoying today's episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I want to take just a moment to thank all of the listeners and viewers who've donated to the show, because the Awakened Goddess Show is community supported. That means it's 100% donation based. So if the show has been meaningful for you, it's inspired you, or has been helpful in any way, I ask you to support the show. All donations go towards producing the show, keeping it on the air, as well as keeping the archives available free anywhere in the world. So thank you for your contribution and everything you're doing to support the Awakened Goddess Show. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. You can go to theawakenedgoddess.com/donate to show your support. And if you're not able to donate financially today, there are many ways you can support the show. You can share the show with your community, subscribe, and leave the show a 5-star review on iTunes. Because without your help, the show wouldn't be possible. Now let's pick up where we left off. Back to the show. So using that example of being in Subway and having that feeling, right, overcome you, and you notice that it's not yours, a lot of times, at least gosh, I don't know, long time I would take on that stuff. And once
Mhm.
you take on someone else's feelings or energy, then it becomes yours. Right? So how do we decide, okay, so how do we protect ourselves from kind of just sucking that in? Like
Oh, there's so much you can do.
like a blob.
There is. And I will say this. I do have that freebie of clearing your personal energy field. And
Okay.
there's a lot of things you can do, and it's free. It's to anybody that listens. But I will say, you have to start asking the questions and opening the dialogue. And so with yourself. So you're one of those, I mean, I understand this completely. You're one of those, I'm just going to love the hell out of you. Whatever it is, you're going through hell. I'm going to love you through that hell. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
we're on.
I'll be with, like, say, like an ex-boyfriend in the past, right? I'd be sitting
Uh-huh.
there and like holding space, and we'd be talking, and he'd be, complaining or just like oozing this whatever negative emotion, and I'd be like, "Oh, tell me more."
Yes, 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 sweetheart. Yes, we all do that. There's a lot. I mean, we're this tough love, gonna love the hell out of you people. Yes, I have been there. I'm gonna take on your problem. Yes, and we will conquer this together.
That's
And
right.
you drag yourself down, and to me, we get to the point that we are really emotionally abusing ourselves.
Well,
And
they're
that,
off
that,
skipping along, like manifesting like mofos, and here I am, like, ugh.
Yes, yes, let me take that burden. Let me slap it on. Yeah, I mean, I've done it. I've done it, and I know that you've done the same thing. So, I mean, first the dialogue with yourself, and then that tough love stuff. And then, we link to people. You've heard the terms of cords and all of that, and the attachments that we have for anybody else that's out there. I mean, especially if you have an intimate relationship with someone, there's cords like
And
make love.
they're not just negative, they're also
No,
positive.
no. I was gonna say you make love, and there's cords that attach. All your chakras. You're just connected. You're connected. So it. I learned to kind of sever the connection. It doesn't mean I don't love somebody. I love you so much that I'm gonna let you go. And that doesn't mean I'm gonna let you crash and burn because I'm the first person that's gonna get on the plane and go scoop up somebody I love. It's the truth. But emotionally, I mean, I'll physically go do it, but emotionally, I'm gonna have to like do that disconnect. And it's so, well, I'll tell you. I had to train, and yet again in life history, I was a teacher for severe and profoundly handicapped children at one point in my life. They're having seizures all day long. Kids are falling out. I spent a lot of time in the ER, because my kids would have to go, and they would have parents that wouldn't show up, and I did not leave my babies alone. So my
Right.
assistants had to take care of everything. And I stayed even if it was well into the night. I never left my babies alone. But you still. I mean, so I'm pulling that up as you want these children, their health. They could literally die with me every day with their
Mm-hmm.
severe health issues. Some of them. So I'm trying to pull a real strong connection of you don't want anything to happen to this child.
Right.
So. I could, war on me, but there's a part of my personality that I learned to shift, which is why I'm great in a crisis, is that I go to that dead calm. I
Mm.
had to learn it, because then whenever you react on emotion, your emotions are going to lie to you. I mean, they will in a crisis situation. If somebody you love is stranded, is going through something, we're people. We feel, we all have empathy, but then we take it to the nth degree. So you have to be able to kind of shut that down to rationalize. So I had,
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot in those years too. So I've had a lot of life circumstances that could help me learn to identify and learn how to. So, in dealing with that, gonna love you till it kills me type situation, you have to learn to emotionally, distance, and say, okay, this is my space, this is your space. Imagine, you can do a bubble of light around them, and you know that they are taken care of. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I'm a parent. I'm a parent. I would go nuts over something happening with my son. But also, and helicopter mom. I'm the mom that shows up for everything. My kid's the best thing that ever happened to me. Most fun ever. But I have to give him space to grow on his own, because I can't take on his lessons. Right. I can't take on lessons for my mom, or for my cousins, or for my husband. I can only do for myself. And people have asked me, like, in things that I've done in the past, like I could choose to just give up and do what everybody else is doing, or I could stay on my path. And people have asked me, like, with the health things, when I overcame an autoimmune, I did that autoimmune issue. I did it by myself. People are like, well, who are your support system? I'm like, me, and me. I just knew I had to do this. Nobody else was going to eat what I was eating, and I'm fine with that. I'll cook 2 different meals. I don't care. I'm committed to this. I want to feel good and take care of my kids. So you have to separate out sometimes. And so, as I separate out, if I have to, doesn't mean I'm not right here hand holding you, loving you, and being an empath, feeling you, but I have to let it go through. So that there's a lot of things you can do. So grounding is great. Trying to find an emotional separation route, physically separating away from it. To me, I'm going to tell you honestly, laughter is the ultimate. I think it is the ultimate meditation. And whatever you can do to fully put yourself into that, great for after a funeral, do it. Great for a part of a funeral process. Whatever, go to YouTube University and find something funny. There's plenty of funny things, and get yourself physically out of the situation and laugh. When you're fully engaged in laughter, you're fully in the present moment, and you can't think about anything else. I've proved this with thousands of people when I've done groups. I mean, you're made to do this. Your body can do this for you for free. Aren't we amazing? Aren't we amazing? So,
we're a bag of tricks.
I've got a lot of tricks, and a lot of times people think, oh, I need to go do something, I need to go meditate on this mountain, and I need to make it difficult. Only if you want to make it difficult for yourself. You don't have to leave where you are. But we forget. We need reminders of all the things that are around us all the time. Some people like to go in nature. I got to do it. That's me. Water is amazing. There's a book written on water. I believe it's Blue is the name of the book. I think it's Blue, about how people are drawn to the water to help with their I'm slipping into Rhonda talk, their vibrational frequencies, but to help with
I love Rhonda talk.
I was slipping into Rhonda to help with their vibrational frequencies. But people are drawn to it. Ocean is great. Waterfalls, all those negative ions, salt rock, negative ions. 65 pounds right here as my backup crew. There's a lot. You don't even have to go out and spend money. You can laugh, you can fake laugh. But I like to demystify that so people don't feel like they have to work so hard to separate out what's going on, because there's so many people. So many people that come to me that are empaths. They're like, oh, I just can't take it. And I'm like, oh no, you got to learn to use this. You can use it. You can make it really good for yourself. I've learned. There's oneness. There's no separation of us. So use that empathy to, if you're in a really hard situation with somebody that's draining you dry, and like, say they're a spouse or a parent or a child, and you can't like really get rid of them, like a breakup of a friendship, and you can't get rid of them. Okay. So then you move yourself physically to a different circumstance, and use that empathy that you have. So you're feeling it for them, use it somewhere else. Because empathy is not always bad. Positive literature, go to a comedy club, be around people that are laughing, I've got the greatest web of friends in the world. I am surrounded by the most uplifting people. Priceless.
Yes.
Priceless. You know, if you don't have some friends like that, you go find some groups on Facebook, go somewhere. When people complain, get up and move. You know, that's not your group. And, you know, and move on. But really, and use that empathy that you feel, and you can pick up that other sensation. I mean, it's magic. I'm like, we could use this to help ourselves. How amazing is that instead of that? So there's a ton of things you can do, a ton of things that you can do to separate. Am I saying too much?
No, no. If I'd pull out my clapper if you were talking too much. I'd be like, okay, you're done. Clap.
I get excited and then I keep rolling with it. So you cut me off at any time.
No, it's perfect. Yeah. So, gosh, I mean, there's so many directions to go. I mean, it's really awesome. Okay, so the oneness piece. Let's talk about oneness and how this applies with this conversation that this conversation really is unfolded in a incredibly like potent way that I had no idea. But starting, we talk about suicide and our energetic ties and how we are one, and how does this all kind of play together? Because I'm wanting to kind of help people and myself get a better grasp on how this piece comes together.
Okay. Well, for me, it's going to sound like I'm throwing a really hard curve from where we just went. But for oneness, I mean, we all are one. We really are one. And you can use this to your advantage, or you can hurt yourself with it. It's how you learn to look at which vibration you want to ride on. So for me, I do take responsibility. I take extreme responsibility for what I put out. Mm-hmm. If I feel like I am not going to be a positive person, Rhonda doesn't leave. I don't go out. I don't want to do that. And I will use what I can to redirect, because I know that frequency, and hey, I'll just say it's a great way to get free things. It's not my intention, but people fall all over it, and they fall all over you when you get locked into that really positive frequency that's really fueling you when you're passionate about something, about love. Like I focus on the love and not the loss. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And that works miracles for you, really. And then I take responsibility for where I put that out, because we are all one. So let me give you this, I don't have money. Money's always fun. I do this in one of my courses, MEE, Money Energy Experiments. And I hold up the money and I'm like, this is me. This is me. This is me. This is me. You can use that to your advantage and become very magnetic and draw in some wonderful things in. Now, yes, there's the flip side. So now we're talking about suicide. We're talking about grief. We're talking about, over empathy. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we transmute those things with our oneness. And so you take it on, okay, not to the point of hurting yourself ever, but we take it on. So you've already done it. If you're listening to this, you've already done it. That's why you're here. So
we just want to transmute so the money starts falling from the sky.
Yeah. So, I mean, money's a fun one. I like to do that in that course. That's fun. But then you're looking at these other things. So this now, to me, oneness is taking responsibility for all that's around me. People have shit days. That doesn't mean I'm like, oh, because you're feeling bad, now I have to feel bad, or just put it on me. Doesn't mean that. Responsibility means observing that, acknowledging it. Okay, you need to cry. Okay, cry. I'll hold you, cry, get it out or whatever. Okay, and now that I've got that, I am going to do something else with that energy. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, it physically locks onto us. It physically locks onto us. It really does. So, which is why, another secret to my madness, When I do groups, when I publicly speak and things like that, which is why I like to touch everybody there if I possibly can, because I am in a real jazzed up state, very
Mm-hmm.
passionate about what I've shared, and the energy is really there, and I want to touch them. And I'm not
Yeah.
worried at that point about what's going to come on to me if I'm going to get negative. Like I said, I'm grounding, I'm letting stuff
Right.
flow through, but I'm taking responsibility and acknowledging, you know, we're all one. We're all this. We're part of the mesh. We're part of the whole. Okay, this whole right now is just feeling great, and I got a lot of love, and I just want to, and so I'm taking responsibility. They may feel bad. They may not be in a good place. That is okay. I just let it process through, and
Mm-hmm.
and I love and I hug and I connect. So why I like to do video, because I feel like I make a true connection with people when I do video, because
Right.
I don't see me, I see, people that I'm talking to. I see that and I feel like I make that connection and I'm taking responsibility. If I feel like I'm not going to be good, then I don't do video that day. I
Mm-hmm.
don't, um,
Right.
it's
So
rare. It's rare that I do that.
yeah, you really want to lead with clean energy. Like you don't want to be feeling ugh behind the scenes and then try to just turn it on and you and I, we had this interview scheduled at a different time, and it was perfect because we were both out of alignment, and I was like, you know what, we're not at our best, so let's just reschedule. Because and the beauty is that we would have, every conversation is a completely different conversation. Like if we had a conversation yesterday, it was not going to be anything like the conversation we're having now. And so, I mean, it's like super exciting when you really learn how to maximize your energy and work with it.
Absolutely.
So, this oneness of, yes, energetically speaking, there is money everywhere around us. And, we don't have time to go into that you've seen things manifest out of the ethers, right?
Yes, I
So so I
have.
want to just fast forward that conversation because you'll have to go back and listen to episode 106 for that. But specifically to money, how do we, I want to learn how to, out of the ethers, manifest money. Because it is, like you say, we're all one. We're
Yeah.
all,
Well, yeah, I tell you what, I energetically spin. I carry what I can on me. Um, that's probably not a good thing to say. For traveling purposes, everybody's like, "Oh, really? I'm not that loaded down." But I
she's got her
do what
bags.
I not. I don't want to put it out there. Everybody's like, "Oh, sure," um, but I practice. There's a lot of practices that I put it into play for that. But as far
Yeah.
as you know, we get away from that and we let one little hit knock us down, and suddenly I'm nothing. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, done it. Let me point the finger. I have no business saying any of this stuff, and I haven't lived some hardcore lessons. So, I've lived some. I ate from the food bank. Okay, I did. I have lived hard at times, during college, but but you learn. Yeah, and it's a practice, and I am always practicing.
Yeah.
I always keep this into practice, and I grow and I grow and I grow with my practice in the oneness. In the oneness, I am the money, and the money is me. And it's easy. You get a bill and you step off alignment, and then you take 6 months to something unexpected, off alignment. You know,
Right.
and I literally I am one of those people. You hear about people that preach it but don't practice it.
Right.
That I practice it to the nth degree. I preach it to me all day long. The gratitude thing all day long. The money thing all day long is the only way I'm alive today.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I have, I drill it in me before I ever say anything to anybody. So I have learned some lessons. So it's just repetitive. Repeat, repeat, repeat. And you have to be reminded, and I have to put up reminders for myself. and the self-talk, and that, I mean, literally, and that is where you can pull money from the ethers. I have done it. But,
Well, yeah, because you have to maintain a higher vibrational frequency to come in alignment with the frequency of manifested money, right?
yeah. And see, and the thing of it is like, then I would start to discount other things like that I would get, and I because it wasn't physical money, and I discounted the monetary, and I'm like, God, but if I would have done the monetary count of that, that was $10,000 in one weekend. So shut up, Rhonda. So girl, you didn't realize you need to. So you gotta take ownership of that and take credit for it, and that's hard to do. That's hard to do. I'm like, yeah, I was given this, whatever, blah blah. Okay, but it wasn't physical money, and I'm like, but physical money is what allowed that experience to come into being. So it's repetition. It is. I mean, I beat it into myself. Well,
That's a little
yeah,
harsh.
I do. I mean, I just make myself practice. I'm just a very disciplined person in my practices because I've seen what they can do for me. I've seen that I can heal myself. I mean, we're all gonna die of something. We're all gonna get something. Doesn't mean you're not ever gonna get sick. We're human. We come here to learn. But I've learned that I could be very responsible for where I put my energy and draw things into me, and health. Health and help and things that I didn't, doors that I didn't even know existed have opened up for me because I keep going. And
well, and that's the excitement when you get into those higher states of vibration and consciousness, and you start seeing the synchronistic things line up, and you expand your own energy field to be able to see and step into these things. Like you say, the opportunities start showing up in bigger and bigger ways.
which brings us full circle back to the book. Because 3 years ago, so
how did we do that?
Be a part.
How did we do that?
I'm like, I'm going to be a part of a bestseller, and I'm like, that just came from nowhere. My friend looked at me, she's like, okay, great, and I'm like, okay, let's work out. So yeah, I mean, when and I'm telling you, it's been crazy stuff. I can't speak about all of it yet. It's been filtering in just because of the energy that I stepped into for that book, and released some other things. My mind has been blown. My mind has been blown, and maybe.
And that's big, right? For your mind to be blown.
Oh God, I have been blown away. I have been blown away. But then again, I am also, it's been major miracles, but I am also an easy to excite person. I'm real easy to please. A quarter, and I can celebrate. It's a quarter, yes.
But that's another example of why you are able to pull in more, because when you can see the small things, because to the universe or source or to God, like Abraham says, a button or a castle doesn't matter to the greater source. So if you can acknowledge the little things, then the big things are just as easy to manifest.
Oh yeah, girl, I've sucked snot over 3 pennies when I've been down and out, and I'm like, 3 pennies on the ground, like yes, yeah, I mean, excited. I'm like, yes, I'm being seen. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and I want to go back just a second, because I think something you said was really important to highlight, is that you said that you're always, well, the words you used was beating this into yourself, but always in practice, right? And I think it's important for people to hear that that just because someone's an expert or a spiritual leader or teacher, that doesn't mean that they're perfect or that they're done or that they have it all figured out. It's just that they're a little bit farther along. And, sometimes when you're stepping into being a spiritual leader or teacher, you get really big lessons because it's like you're stepping into bigger and bigger energy. And so I think that was something that stood out when you mentioned that I thought was really important to highlight.
Well, yeah. I just want to elaborate on that. I'm going to tell you, my teachers are like my rock stars. I mean, I love my teachers, and I
Yeah.
always have. And a true teacher will be very honest with you, and they never claim that they know it all. A true teacher is forever on that journey of studying their art. I mean, I always thought like being a professor had to be like the best job ever because you got to study what you loved, forever, and then get paid by mulling through it and talking about it and researching. I'm like, that's the best job on the planet. I'm a nerd. But so a true teacher, they're always learning, they're always trying to pick the next level. And so I do honor my teachers so much. And so, it's because of them that I've been able to achieve the things that I have. And also, I hate to say, I know I said beat it into myself, but I will say, like, not that I'm a total drill sergeant, but it's a reminder, like, in my hardest times when I did not think I would, when I've been so sick, I didn't think I'd live through the night. I mean, there were times I'd just wake up all night. It would just be horrible. Immediately, I just trained myself that the minute my eyes would open, I would start listing everything I was grateful for. And I would repeat it over and over and over into my head until I fell back asleep. If I woke up again 10 minutes later, I'm grateful for this house. I'm grateful for my sheets. I'm grateful I have a pillow. I'm grateful for the internet. Thank you for the internet. I mean, anything. I'm grateful that I can. And I've had people say, what if you're not grateful for something? If you can be grateful for something, think really hard. Like, I'm grateful that I can breathe independently right now. I'm not on a vent.
Right.
I mean, just break it down. I'm grateful that something. I'm grateful I have one sock because that one foot gets to be covered. Break it really, really down into the basics. But I did. I had to train myself to do that over and over and over again.
Yeah. Well, and I think that a lot of people hearing that will find that to be such a powerful practice to integrate into their life because, we're all at different places. And I know that there are people out there that are really struggling and we all have our thing that we struggle with at any given period of time. And it's true. We can always be grateful for something. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like literally, if you couldn't breathe, you would be pretty grateful as soon as you could take a breath.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
not forgetting that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
goodness.
yeah, we break it down into the basics. You have to when you get because I've had a lot of hard times. And am I done with them? Absolutely not. I'm a human being, so I know that there's still stuff coming. There always will be as long as I'm on the planet. But it's the act of being prepared, preparing yourself, and evolving through that helps you just keep on going. We're here to learn. That's what we signed up. This is the greatest damn party.
Yeah.
People are being born every minute. Everybody wants to come in on the party. We get here and say, damn, life is hard, but it is. You just learn so much, though, really. I mean, when you think of it outside in the bigger scheme of things, it's a really big party with a wealth of opportunities to learn a lot of shit. And I have, and I will continue to. I mean, it is as long as I breathe. I know. I mean, and that's the way it is for all of us. So we have to kind of think outside of it to make it through it.
and integrate some laughter. Just laugh at yourself. Just find the laughter and the humor in life.
You have to. You have to.
Rhonda, oh my gosh, you are incredible. This is just a beautiful continuation of the last conversation we had, and I know that this discussion is not over. So, but thank you for joining me today on the show. This was such a treat to have you join me. So thank you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure, and I love you to pieces. I appreciate this opportunity and your time. Thank you for your time so much, Angela.
Love you.
Love you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I hope you enjoyed today's guest and got something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at theawakenedgoddess.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.